You can find full interviews on the Tell Us About channel, link in the description.
But what I really liked about it is that you have that one contained thing and then it's over. And that's why I also really like PoE racing in the beginning. And I still love PoE racing, but like there's no short format races anymore hosted by GGG, or barely ever.
Yeah,
like
with the rewards and stuff like that back in the day you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. The closest thing we get nowadays is when Havoc does his Havoc Blitz series, where it's a series of short races.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, yeah, maybe for those people who listen who are not familiar with the concept, like basically back in the day, GGG did, alongside the seasons, they also did race seasons that started a couple weeks into the league launch. And basically it would be a couple weeks schedule packed with short duration races with fun themes like Rogue Exiles Everywhere or stuff like that. Or they would be alternative progression. So you wouldn't play through the acts, but you'd get to play in a race called Descent or Endless Ledge or something like that. And then participating in the events and reaching certain positions would give you points. And there'd be a point system for the entire race season where the points would accumulate during the season and unlock rewards. And the rewards
alternate
were basically
art stuff.
Exactly.
And alternate art,
unique items, or fancy eye level 100 bases. So I have, for example, an alternate art eye level 100 Sapphire ring. Or I think I also have a heavy build alt art somewhere.
There was like Headhunter at one point there was a bunch of quantity rewards back pre-nerf quantity. And they used to have it to where you could bring those items into the league. Like
that was before my time, though, that they gave out things that actually had like
crazy stuff,
desirable stats or stuff like that.
Yeah, quantity
rewards like that. That's crazy. But yeah, not only because those rewards were insanely powerful, like the one that you just mentioned, but also the player base was so much smaller, and yeah, just so many of these alt arts from back then go for really high prices in game now on the permanent leagues.
Yeah. But I think they discontinued it because, one, the whole looting thing that you were talking about. Because imagine if that was going on in addition to softcore, hardcore, SSFs of both. And then that. And then it was also the matter of, in order to hit the end rewards, you had to like play all the time and wake up at weird times. And it was promoting unhealthy behavior, kind of. If you wanted every point, right? You had to like 24/7.
Yeah, certainly that is a criticism that one could give for the structure of these. But I really enjoyed the events races themselves. Again, the self-contained nature where it just, you know, it's done after a set amount of time or if you die. And then the ability to have so many fresh starts within a short period of time so you could get better at the early progression. And I just really liked that. That's really what I enjoyed. And I think if it wasn't for the race seasons, I probably would have never gotten as deep into PoE as I have. Because that was really sold me on it. What really made me want to become better at the game was like, fuck, I want to be one of the guys who reaches top 10 every time in each of these races back then, right?
Yeah.
And fast forward to 2022, and now I'm successfully groomed by GGG to enjoy the 3-month leagues like everyone else, and I barely ever criticize them for not doing the short races anymore.
There you go. It's capitalism, sad. Baby.
It's sad. I understand, though, that it makes sense, right? Like, because with the short races, you know exactly when they're over, and then you leave the computer. Whereas with the game, it's really hard to find a point where you stop. Like, a lot of people who play the game don't know when to stop. There's one more map, one more level, one more this, one more that.
Well, they really got you by the balls because they have you playing HC SSF and there's like no end to that, and then your character dies, so you're like, well, I got to make another character. See, and then you get stuck in a loop.
I was actually going to bring that up as a point why I like HC, because my character has a clear start and a clear end. In softcore, where does your character end?
Well, when I could delete bosses, or when I say it does, or when I'm bored. You hit the end quicker because then you get bored after a certain point. You can just off-screen auto-kill everything when you're running around with a headhunter, then you're done with the league.
But all of those are choices where you like arbitrarily say you're done, right? Like, I mean...
Yeah, well, I get to the point where I do that and I off-screen everything and then I have a billion monies.
I guess the headhunter is the goal that you said before. Yeah,
Well,
but for
not
me, it's
really.
just
The
like my character dies
headhunter
and I know
ruins
it's
it for me.
done, right? And
Yeah.
I can drop the game. And a lot of times, like, sure, when there's a fresh league or there's an ongoing event like Gauntlet, I'll die and then I'll instantly re-roll and get my character back to Act 1, 2, 3 or something like that, so that when I start up a new session, I don't have to start from scratch, right? But like a lot of times, when I die in the off season, like if I die right now in the Totem League, I'd be like, all right, I'm not really gonna make another character in this league. And then the weekend is the melee only league hosted by Exile. So I'll just, do like a couple of days of, Act 1 race practice or something like that. But I'm basically done with that character's journey and I don't want to play the league anymore. Like a lot of the times when it's not like super hype phase for PoE, I'll see the end of a character as the end of that session or the end of that streaming week even sometimes, right? Like sometimes I need just a couple of days after that to focus on other things. But that also has to do with me being like very I have a lot of inertia, right? Like when I go, then I go, and then I don't stop. And when I stop and I chill, then I don't go, right? Like
I'm
when I
like that
start
too,
streaming,
very,
I
very
stream for
much.
like 14, 16 hours at a time if the, circumstances allow for it, right? But when I don't stream, I sometimes procrastinate on stream or I get into like a, YouTube rabbit hole or I start cleaning up my place, which is always a different kind of rabbit hole because once you start cleaning the kitchen, you can't stop. It's so bad. Like you see so many things. Like first you do the dishes, then you clean under the dish thing, then you clean the sink, then you notice, oh, there's something on that door. Then you open the door, and then you have to sort out the things. You take out everything out of the shelves, and so that's the reason I barely ever start like cleaning or doing these chores things because once I start, I don't stop.
See, I thought I had problems with it, but now that I'm realizing that you just gave me that explanation, I realize I actually don't actually have a problem at all.